Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and welcome back to another live stream. Today we are just going to do a short Airbus A320 trip, and this one's going to take us on VATSIM from Munich to Berlin and back. Now, first of all, I do apologize for the slight delay over here. When the latest MSFS sim update released, that lovely thing for some reason enabled all those default streamed airports again, and so when I loaded up Munich I had two airports there, which didn't just cost a lot of performance because it tried to show them both at the same time, but it also meant that I saw double objects and so on. So that's the reason why we started a little bit later. Once again, my apologies for that. However, now we are getting ready for today's flight, which is going to be from Munich over to Berlin, as mentioned. Now, before we start, let's go ahead and make our way into the aircraft. My apologies. Let's make our way into the aircraft, and let's go ahead and start with a couple of basics over here. We are flying the Delta Alpha India Uniform Alpha from the FENIX livery manager. I do believe it's painted by Atarium, lovely Starlines livery on the airplane. Alright, and with that out of the way, let's just go straight into this. And I see a comment down there from Superb Elias. While we're air, has anyone heard anything about Simwings making their Munich compatible with 2024? Well, I haven't heard anything official, but what you see out here is Simwings Munich. So I'm using it ever since the sim came out, and as long as the default airport is disabled in the content manager, it just works really nice if you simply copy and paste the files from the community folder. That's all that I did, and yeah, it just works. So really can't say anything more than that. It's pretty busy over here, by the way, if you look outside, and I'm sure there will be quite a lot of traffic to Berlin as well, since they've got their online day. And no guys, this is no AI traffic add-on or something, this is actually all VATSIM traffic here. Only for the models I am, of course, using a traffic add-on, which is FS traffic. Alright then, let's start with some basics down here. The engine master levers are off, start selector on, the weather radar is off, landing gear lever down, wipers off, battery voltage is more than 25.5. Then let's go ahead and turn it on, also turn our external power on. We'll turn the lights up because, well, we are gonna need them today, since this is for the most part going to be a night flight down here. And wow, Asap, thank you so much for the 900 NGN donation. Yes, we are streaming again. And Elias, honestly, my best tip for studying for the ATPL is take the sim. Look at what you're learning. In my opinion, that's the best way how you can learn it all. And Bennett, news on the ebook. Yeah, I do have some holidays at the end of this month, and I intend to finish it then, so expect maybe a month or two maximum. And then it should really, once and for all, be finished. Or so he said. I know that one's gonna haunt me, but this time it will. Alright, cool. So, that much on it. And Thomas, why do I never play X-Plane? Because I don't like the sim at all. It just looks bad. Alright, so let's go ahead and import our flight over here. Error importing. Are you kidding me? Well, I guess I'm not gonna ask about this one. Has any one of you guys seen that yet? Let's actually quickly go for the airline settings up here. So has any of you seen this error importing from SimBrief earlier? And while we're on this, let's quickly check our control settings. Should be just fine. Okay, is fine. So let's try that one more time, and it's once again not working. And Daniel, am I using the Google Maps replacement mod? No, not at all. Okay, so if we can't import the SimBrief flight, that means we are going to miss a lot of our functions, but that does not mean that we can't go flying. So then we'll just do this stuff manually here. Passengers 160. And flying ATC, yes, I did update the FENIX. Cargo, let's see, 1,500. And for the fuel, I suppose, if we can't view the flight plan in here, then we have to view it the old-fashioned way through our browser. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we go. That's going to be our route of flight. And looking at the significant weather chart, a little bit of icing close to Munich, below flight level 200. That's got to be those clouds that we've seen. Then for the weather itself, Berlin is actually looking wonderful today. So beautiful weather conditions. Same goes for alternate Leipzig. Only overnight there will be some patches of fog and stuff like that. But that's not really going to do much of our problem. Okay, so that's that. Now for the flight plan itself, on-time departure means delayed arrival. Yay, flying Lufthansa. No problems with the weight, zero fuel weight 59.3, we'll remember that, and we're planning on flight level 300 down here. Well, apart from that, fuel minimum is 5.7, and to be honest, I don't think we'll need more than that since the entire transition is already part of our flight plan. So 5.7 tons it is. Alright, so down here we need like 2,500 kilos and then 5,700 kilos of fuel. Alright, apply, and we can do GSX for both boarding and refueling, please. So, a couple of you suggest re-entering the SimBrief ID. Well, no, that thing is in. So that shouldn't be the problem. Oh man, I don't know. I suppose then we'll just do without. But just for the sake of it, can we import the plan here? Oh yeah, we can. Has it worked up here as well now? No. Okay, might have been worth it, but I don't care. We've just inserted the data we need, so that's literally all we're going to need today. Alright, Ines, I should do VATSIM more often. Yeah, if VATSIM is online more often, then we could do that. But for that, I'd need them online at like 8 in the morning or so. Alright, so we'll just do it this way. Let's see if that still sent us some data. So, AOC menu, flight init. Let's see if we can get anything down here. Perhaps the systems are running parallel to one another. You can always hope.
Copy.
It does. Interesting. What? Oh, hello there. Has the FENIX thing just restarted itself? Is it working now? No. Okay. We'll do this one more time. Shut it down, and this time we'll do it for real, okay? Alright, so. And a couple of you said just delete the number and re-enter it. Okay. Might as well try that. Nope, doesn't work. Okay, so be it. So our airplane is cold and dark again. How did I miss these things? Now you guys know why I flew a couple of Boeing live streams the last days. And YNL 2012. Why does it always have to be laggy when you're streaming? Yeah, that's the question. And Band Flight Simmer, I did install this update that came out today. I did install it, and that's when the problem started. Because when I used the FENIX a couple days ago, everything worked fine. And Kilian, no, the idea isn't too short. It's just that I was one of the first guys actually using SimBrief. Alright, so. I tell you what, we do it the old-fashioned way. You know that there are operators like Wizz Air who don't have data
runway
link at all
awareness.
in their A320s,
Okay.
do you? Okay, so if that stuff's broken, then so be it. Let's try that once again. Planned 160 passengers, 2500 cargo and 5800 fuel. Alright, applying loads, GSX for both. And then let's see if anything is going to happen. And Elton, maybe I might do a flight to the new Wolf's Fang, but not sure about it. So Poop Elias, do I by any chance know if LDA has data link louder? No, they don't. It's a Ryanair group, what do you expect? They don't have money for servers. Okay, cool, so let's try that once again. Down here it seems to work, so it's probably just the EFB that's broken. So yeah, let's just do the flight data request again, and then we'll get going from there. Okay, so here we are. This works. It's a step in the right direction, isn't it? So let's see, received messages, load sheet. We've got no flight number or stuff on there, but the registration is fine. It's the Uniform Alpha. 2 pilots, 4 cabin crews. The weights are looking okay. Interestingly enough, it even knows the trip fuel, so it definitely has the SimBrief data down here. It just doesn't have it on the tablet. Hi, SimCFI, nice to see you. Alright, tell you what, I am just gonna accept this for the time being, and we'll just do today's flight without the tablet. That's fine, we can do everything we need down here. So, network VATSIM, we need the departure ADIS, and send that. I just hope the performance calculator is going to work. And flying ATC, at least now you have reason to be late, just like the real Lufthansa. That's a way to see this. Okay, so they're using runway 08 left and right down here, and that's all looking good. QNH 1024, might as well dial that in already. Once and twice like this, perfect. Then let's move down here and to the takeoff performance calculator. Let's see what we can do. So Munich, 8 left, dries. Look at that, it can even synchronize the load sheet. I don't get what's wrong with this thing. Alright, so Alpha 4 it is, and all of that data looks good. Perfect, so limited at 82.7, that means we can easily go. Alright, so that thing's done, and yeah, I don't... Thank you very much for researching, guys, but I think I'm just not gonna bother with it for now. So here's that, and then we need the runway 8 left north. I think it's gonna be this chart that we'll need. Nope, unfortunately not. Arnold sits 8 left, maybe that one. Also no, we are looking for an Akini sit. Let's see what lovely chart it's hidden on. Yeah, that's Akini up here. So, RMP sits runway 08 left right. So it's got to be this one, right? Yeah, it is. Perfect. Alright, cool. And that thing is now loaded as well. With that, our EFB is completely in check. So, catering is going on. Then, let's see. Oxygen pressure 1800. Hydraulic is full. Engine oil is 16.5. Not completely full, but that's okay. That's within limits. And my Chinese friend, do I have any interest in the new Windwing throttle? Oh yeah, absolutely. I pre-ordered mine already. I just hope it's not going to take as long this time as it did last time to actually get those things delivered. I remember a couple of their stuff just took really, really long. So, hoping that things are going to be faster this time. Really, really hoping that. Okay, so, suppose we're just going to start with the cockpit preparation here. Dome light on. Otherwise it's just a little bit too dark down here. And Heinrich, yes, this is FS 2024. Alright, so refueling still ongoing, so the seatbelt sign's going to stay off for the time being, and so should the fuel pumps. I was a bit fast there. Fire test engine 1 okay. Fire test engine 2 okay, and down here everything's done. So it's the 30th of September 25, that's correct. Then let's move down to the pedestal. Floodlights, yes, let's take them like half. Intake lights all the way up. We want VHF 1 and 2 as well as the interphone. And that's everything done down here. Alright, with that we can go straight into the FMS and our setup. And Vatland Guten, why do some pilots say contact approach? Honestly, I've got no idea. That's not standard phraseology. I think they probably mean the ground, that they can see the ground. Oh, look at that. If we can't access SimBrief here, maybe it's the API that's down and not the FENIX. Maybe that's the problem. Could very well be. Alright, in that case we'll just have to do things like this. We're improvising today, I like it. Feels almost like... no, I'm not gonna say that. And Lightning, no, I'm not using the Sim Update 4 beta. Alright, so let's get started. Data, aircraft status, and it's an A320-200 CFM56 engine, and the nav database is up to date. Now look at that! Nav database, Lufthansa. FENIX must have been working on that. So in the real world, you always need to check over here that it's actually the database of your airline. Because oftentimes engineers don't just handle one single airline, they also handle other airlines, and that in turn can lead to accidentally installing the database of another airline into your aircraft. So very nice that FENIX is actually doing this now. Really cool. Alright, so let's see if the init request is going to work over here, or if we have to type the entire flight plan manually. And Jonathan, my graphic settings. I did a dedicated video about them not so long ago. Alright, here we are. So, die Lufthansa for X-ray, cost index 15, flight level 300. Then, departing of Munich, runway 8 left, Akini 1 Quebec departure. And insert. Arrival into Berlin, we'll plan 6 right for the time being. It could turn out to be everything though. Now let's see, we don't have any flight plan available right now, so let's just see. From ATGUP. Okay, so we'll take the ATGUP 6 right arrival. Cool, and insert. Now let's go to secondary, copy active. Then we got Munich emergency 1 as our engine out point. EGDM 08 left / 080 / 25. PBD. Oh god, I hate it when you got a typo at the very beginning and then you gotta delete the entire thing. Munich 08 left. I'm still used to typing on the real airplane here because I just came back yesterday from a couple of real world flights, and on the real one you don't need as much force to insert something as you do on the WinWing MCDU. And for this reason, if some letters don't make it through while I'm typing over here, that's because I'm still kinda used to typing at the same force that you need in the real airplane. Well, and then again, when you do that for a little while, eventually you come back to flying in the real world, and then you're hammering the knobs, and you're like, okay, I didn't mean to break this. Always interesting, but the better flight sim hardware gets, the more you have to be careful that you don't accidentally adopt wrong habits when flying in the real world. Okay, can't store the flight plan, that seems to be bugged still. Alright, so let's just go ahead and grab ourselves the load sheet from down here. Here it is, so 59.4 and CG of 32.6. Alright, block fuel is 5.8, like that, and well, we don't have the remaining data available here, so we'll just have to stick to the automatic calculation for the time being. That's fine, we can live with that. And Elton, is the real button like the rubber on the wind wing? It's actually not, the real ones are plastic. And most importantly, you don't need to press them as far down. So on the real one, it's more like, what can you really compare it to? It's a little bit like a touch screen, but with a little more force needed. So flaps 1, 61 degrees. Funnily enough though, and that's really worth mentioning, is that in the real world there are some units which actually have rubber keys, but that's really very rare that you have those. I think I've flown like one airplane that had them. Alright, so everything's entered down here. Then let's straight away go ahead and grab our IFR clearance as well. So let's see. ATIS is information Mike. So ATC request, pre-departure clearance, ATIS Mike. We're at gate 247. The station will be Munich. And let's just say Servus. Alright, so Munich to Berlin, Lufthansa for X-ray, gate 247, ATIS Mike, an A320 is station Munich, sent. Great. And Superb Elias, are the FCU buttons anything like the real deal? It's been too long since I've used the WinWing MCDU. Remember, I'm using the Mini FCU in the real world, and the reason I'm using it is actually because that is pretty good. But I just used the WinWing once in Las Vegas on the FS Expo, and well, that's been like a year from now, so I wouldn't want to comment on that, because I wouldn't know for sure. Okay, so that stuff is in down here. Then let's just go up to our FCU. 7000 is going to be the initial. We want VORs on both sides. Like that. Alright, and refueling is complete as well now. 5.8 are on board. And the seat belts and the fuel pumps are coming on. Great. So we do have another company message. Let's see what that is. Just the PDC. I was hoping for the final load sheet. And Elton, yes, I have absolutely pre-ordered the WinWing throttle. Honestly, their hardware doesn't feel like 100% right. But, you know, for the price point, it's superb. Really, really superb. Okay, so here's our PDC. Lufthansa for X-ray, clear to Berlin of 8 left via Akini 1 Quebec departure. And that's 08 left, Akini 1 Quebec is confirmed. Squawk 1000, actual departure time due to mean departure interval, aka no slot. And then next frequency 120505, ATIS Mike requests startup on 120505, Servus. Okay, Wilco and send. So 120505 going down in here. Oh god. This thing always keeps turning. Alright, cool. And that is done. So, Squawk 1000, departure is confirmed. And here we go, Squawk 1000. Beautiful. With that, our clearance is received. That stuff is all entered. Then let's go ahead and cross-check our SID real quick. And once that's done, we'll be good to go. So, RMP sets. Akini 1K back is straight at Delta Mike 010, above 1900. And that's checked. Then a left turn Delta Mike 011, max 210 knots. And that's 011, 210 knots. Delta Mike 013, 014, 015, maximum 250. And that is all looking good. And then we've got 017 and Akini, again maximum 250 knots. We'll absolutely ask ATC to lift that one for us. Alright, great. So that stuff's done. And Echo Base, would I consider doing a review for the Windwing throttle? Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Kilian, 250 euros for it is just wow. I totally agree with that. Honestly, there's been a time where we paid $1,000 for stuff like that, and that was before 25% of inflation happened over the last couple of years. And our clearance is confirmed. Beautiful. Final load sheet is here as well. Lovely. Then let's have a look. In compliance with edition number 1. Delta Alpha India Uniform Alpha, 2 pilots, 4 cabin crews. Zero fuel weight 59.3. So that's 100 down. And 32.6. Alright, that's enter. Block fuel 5.8 is correct. And let's quickly do a wind uplink as well. Here we go. Alright, cool. And with that, all these stuffs entered. And Jedi 0405, why do some airports give out departure clearances while taxiing or lining up on the runway? That's usually because they have to call en route ATC to actually obtain the clearance. And they can only do that when they know your actual time of departure. And that's usually a given once you are taxiing or actually lining up, depending on the local procedures. Italy is doing that a lot as well. So we need 31.0 for the CG. That's somewhere down here. So that's a down trim of 0.5 roughly. Cool. And that thing is entered. Our takeoff weight remained unchanged, so the takeoff performance stays valid that we've got down here. And that's that. And Daniel Köhler, could I do a video on the topic of ATPL? So how did you get into the cockpit of an airline? And what would I recommend somebody how to get there? I like the idea. I like it a lot. I will do that. Alright, so for the time being, everything's entered, everything's checked up here. Then let's get rid of the table. Let's get our APU started, and then we'll start our departure briefing. And Elton, imagine a sit that you haven't planned for on lineup. Happened to me. It even happened to me that the controller told me when lining up at an airport in Africa, he was like, report ready to copy, long clearance. I was like, okay, let's get that pencil and paper out. And then he was like, so, climb straight ahead 5 DME, then turn right, join radial XYZ of station blah 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 until reaching 5000, then turn and intercept radial blah blah blah, follow DME arc 18 DME. And we were like, okay. My colleague looked at me and he was like, how the heck do you even put that into the FMS manually? And I was just like, how far is the next inbound out? 12 miles. Okay, so we got 3 minutes. Let's do it the easy way. And let's simply fly raw data. And that's what we did. Departing with an A330 on a raw data set, just like you're sitting in that simulator doing your pilot's assessment. That was just lovely. Just absolutely lovely. Ever since, I'm actually requesting that airport. I want to go there more often because these things are so much fun to fly. Okay, but for the time being, let's go ahead and have some fun flying over here. And to do that, we need to do a departure briefing. So let's start from this side, and we are going to depart Munich, runway 8 left, Akini 1 Quebec departure, and the initial climb is flight level 70. The MSA is rounded up 4,000 feet, and what are we going to do? Honestly, extra fuel? None, but we've got plenty of alternate fuel that we can use to commit to destination, and that's all I've got over here. So, back to the left side. No hotspots for our taxi out. Runway 8 left. We got Alpha 4 figures. Stop margin for rejected takeoff is going to be 464 meters. In case of an engine out, straight at 25 miles, pick up the hold in 4,000, then we're going to come back for either runway 8 left or runway 8 right. And we are below the maximum landing weight, so re-landing is not a problem at all. We've got nothing special or non-standard over here, and, well, the speed restriction of 210 knots. Clean speed is 215. I'm going to clean up. We'll fly 215. Any questions? No? Beautiful. Then that's our briefing completed. And Thomas Wertzog in the comment, do I think that X-plane flight dynamics are the best? Yes, I do. But with consumer-grade hardware, you only notice so much of it, which is not a lot. Okay, so APU is running, everything's running up here. Then let's go ahead and request GSX to prepare the position for pushback and departure. And while that's going on, let's start with the checklist. So, cockpit preparation checklist. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity. That's 5,800 kilograms balanced. Seatbelts on, ADRs, nav, and barrel ref QNH 1024. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Alright, great. With that, we are ready up here. Then let's go ahead and call our controller for pushback clearance. And someone's asking in the comments down there, Team Airbus or Team Boeing? Now that's a very easy one, Team Airbus. But the reasons for that have nothing to do with, you know, fanboy stuff or something. The reason why I'm Team Airbus is quite simple. It's the nicer workplace. You've got a lot of space over here. You don't have that strange thing between your legs. You've got the table down here. Those are my reasons to be Team Airbus. I don't care avionics, looks, or religion, you know. Alright, and with that, let's get our pushback clearance. München Tower, hello, Lufthansa for X-ray request, pushback and startup.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, contact apron 121.710, bis später.
12171, Lufthansa for X-ray, ciao. I got carried away by the real world. In the real world, if the clearance tells you a frequency, that frequency is going to be correct. Not so much in the sim. Okay, doesn't matter. Then, liebe Fluggäste, einen wunderschönen guten Abend aus dem Cockpit. Hier spricht der Kapitän. Mein Name ist der Manuel. Im Namen der Lufthansa darf Sie herzlich an Bord unseres Airbus A320 auf diesem Flug nach Berlin willkommen heißen. Heutige Flugzeit etwa 50 Minuten in einer Reiseflughöhe von ca. 8000 Metern. Wir erwarten einen ruhigen Flug und melden uns dann im Anflug noch einmal mit den neuesten Wetterinformationen. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und noch einmal herzlich willkommen an Bord. Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Manuel. In the name of Lufthansa, welcome aboard our Airbus A320 on our flight to Berlin. Today's flight time will be about 50 minutes at an altitude of 8,000 meters. For the time being, sit back, relax, enjoy the flight with us, and we'll get back to you with the latest weather when we start our approach.
Lufthansa 8 X-ray.
Airbus to slow.
Pushback started approach face north, Lufthansa 8X3.
Frankfurt, nee, sorry, München, apron, schon guten Abend, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, request pushback and startup.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, ticket squawk mode 3573.
Confirm squawk 3573, Lufthansa 4 X-ray. Okay, so 3573.
4 X-ray, push and start approve, face north.
Push and start approved, facing north, Lufthansa 4 X-ray. Okay, so GSX, continue pushback, facing north. Here we go. So before start checklist, park and brake is set, takeoff speeds and thrust, V1 142, VR 142, V2 143, flex 61, windows closed, bacon, tasty, before start checklist complete. So, ground from flight deck, pushback and startup approved facing north, park and brake is released. Roger, start and push and stand by for your engines. Okay, off lock at 44, that's 14 minutes of delay, we'll put that down on airport security, because, well, we had like 2 airports. Alright, and with that we're online. Now, Marco's asking, do I think that FENIX is the most realistic plane, and how realistic is it in your opinion? Well, I wouldn't say most realistic, because I would say that the PMDG is likewise just as realistic, the 777. But I would most definitely say that it is a very, very, very good airplane, the FENIX, and yeah, it's pretty realistic. There are some small things, but they got all the large stuff right. And Ines, Teolis or FENIX? Well, FENIX, because while Teolis has superb systems and flight dynamics, Anybuild has superb systems, flight dynamic. Did I say Anybuilds? My apologies. Well, they're looking good as well. But FENIX has not just good systems and flight dynamics, but also good visuals and sounds. Alright, so, ground flight deck, starting engines number 1 and 2 in that sequence. Engine 1 start. In Elton, yes, I've flown the PA-28 in real life. Though not the Cherokee, but the Dakota. Which basically has 236 horsepower, so just a little bit more powerful than the Cherokee. And Chopin, can I turn down ATC a little bit? Yes, absolutely. I turn them down a bit, let me know if that's better.
Information November is correct, cleared, correction, cleared Frankfurt, give me 6, Quebec departure, flight land route, Columbia City.
Alright, we've got a good start number 1, start number 2. Now the push is complete, set park and brake. Brake set. Okay, so let's see what they're doing out there. Just standing around. Okay, releasing the tuck now.
Lufthansa S6 Takeoff taxi.
Lufthansa exit ticket November 3,
This is going to be fun. If that 8 X-ray is flying to the same destination, then I see quite some problems coming. And aviation lover, my favorite airport to fly to. Well, yeah, definitely Frankfurt, because I'm going home afterwards. But I don't really know. There are so many nice ones. So many. Okay. So, where is... There she is, and she's holding a pin. Beautiful. So, after start checklist please, RTIs, off, ecom status, check, pitch trim, 31%, rudder trim, neutral, after start checklist complete, and flight controls. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder,
City 1 Papa
full left, full right, and neutral.
Cleared to Hamburg and Route 3 Quebec departure, flight and route Columbia City to Patch Pacific.
And Elton, could I do some flights with the Just Flight Warrior? Not too sure, to be honest, because, you know, it's a little bit old by now. Lufthansa 4 X-ray, request taxi.
X-ray, Roger Spy. Lufthansa 8 X-ray, contact tower 118.705, John.
18705, thank
The
you.
lights became a little bit strange here.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, taxi to November, to entry November 3, Echo 2, Delta 1.
November 3, Delta 2. Ach, geradeaus, links, rechts, Lufthansa 4 X-Ray.
Genau, Echo 2, Delta 1.
Echo 2, Delta 1, danke. Okay, clear right side, clear left side, we'll go straight ahead, left, right. Alright.
The 4 X-ray shortcut approved.
Shortcut approved for X-ray. Good, let's go. So, brake check. Pressure 0. So, shortcut is approved, so then let's just go straight for a little bit and then we'll take the shortcut to the left. Well, let's do it this way. Is there anyone here? No? Okay, easy going then. So, 15 knots, maximum speed that we can do on the apron.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, contact tower 118.705, John.
118.705, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, tschüss. Hallo, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, taxiing November 3.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, München Tower, guten Abend. Taxi to rolling point, runway 08 left, via November at Alpha 3.
1.8 left, November Alpha 3, Lufthansa 4 X-ray. Alright, so the right side's clear, the left side's clear, and we'll go next to the left. Alright then, over here. So, the cabin is ready already. Flight control check is complete as well. Then let's go. So, new squawk is in here. And we've got no changes to the takeoff briefing. Alright, in that case, let's get started on the taxi checklist. Flight controls, checked, flap setting, config 1 plus F. Red and predictive wind shear on and auto, engine mode select and norm. Beacon memo, takeoff no blue, B for takeoff checklist, taxi checklist complete.
Negative. Oh, November.
Julian, why didn't you give me Squawk 1000? Honestly, in the real world you don't use Squawk 1000 as much. It's somewhat of a VATSIM thing, I don't know why they're doing it, but in the real world I maybe using Squawk 1000 on like 10% of my flights, at best. So, I guess the other guy is still in front of us over there, so there's probably not going to be any improvement by asking for Alpha 4. Well, it doesn't matter, then we'll just taxi to the full length. And PD205, Emmanuel, you sound so young. May I ask why you quit your amazing career? I don't know what you mean. Which career do you mean? The one working for Aerosoft beforehand? Well, quit that one to become a pilot.
Lufthansa 8 X-ray, wind 050 degrees, 3 knots, runway 08 left, cleared for takeoff.
Cleared for takeoff, 08 left.
And plain saw, do I know why they give Squawk 1000? Yeah, they use that in the real world when they have a system where the ATC side of things can correlate airplanes based on the call sign that they transmit through the transponder. So that way they don't need dedicated squawk for every single airplane, but since the systems of ATC are able to identify the aircraft based on their call sign rather than their squawk, they can use the same standardized squawk in those regions, and that's the Squawk 1000.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, line up runway 08 left.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, line up runway 08 left. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Alright, line up checklist please. Takeoff runway, that's 08 left, Alpha 3. TCAS, TARA, PAX 1 and 2, off, line up checklist complete.
Lufthansa 8 X-ray, contact München radar 123.905.
23905, Lufthansa.
Approaching 08 left.
Might as well pre-select that. Alright, lights off.
On runway 08 left.
That's intentional.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, wind 050 degrees, 3 knots, runway 08 left, cleared for takeoff.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, runway 08 left, cleared for takeoff. Okay, ready? Takeoff. And flag 61, SRS runway auto thrust blue. Thrust set. Come on, thrust levers, here you are. 100 knots, checked. V1, rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav, checked.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, contact München radar 123.905. Ciao, schönen Flug.
123.905, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, tschüss. Okay.
Easy Matter 7 Quebec November, das sind altitude 5000 feet.
5000 now, Easy 97 Quebec November.
Lufthansa 6 Echo Tango, das sind altitude 6000 feet, QNH 1024.
So, flap 0.
6000 feet, QNH 1024, Lufthansa 6 X-ray.
Lufthansa 8 X-ray, proceed direct to
Flap
Akimi.
0.
Proceed direct to Akimi, Lufthansa 8 X-ray.
München, schönen guten Abend. Lufthansa 4 X-ray, passing 3800, climb level 70.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray München radar, grüß Gott, identified. Climb unrestricted to flight level 190.
Climb unrestricted, flight level 190, Lufthansa 4 X-ray.
Lufthansa 35 Hotel, descend to flight level 80.
Descent 80, 35 Hotel.
19000 blue.
Lufthansa 8 X-ray, contact
So
München
standard.
radar 132.555, goodbye.
Standard cross check, passing flight level 50. Now,
Lufthansa 4 to the Victor, contact tower 120.505, goodbye.
so now the big question that's always hard to answer in the dark. Are we inside clouds over here or are we not? But since we don't see any stars up ahead, I tend to say we probably are inside clouds. So engine anti-SR please. And engine anti-SR. Yamo, when do you use the wing light? That's quite easy. When you're in icing conditions and you're suspecting that you might have ice on the wings, then you turn the wing light on in order to be able to check the leading edge for any signs of ice over there. Autopilot 1. And he said climb unrestricted, so we can delete all of those restrictions down here. So that 250, that's not an invalid delete, I do that all the time in the real world. Lufthansa 4 X-ray, direct Akini. Okay, direct Akini and insert, and then we can delete the 250 at Akini as well. He said climb unrestricted after all, here we go. Nice. Oh, beautiful. Look at this. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, contact München radar 132.555. Goodbye.
132.555, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, choose.
At the right 04, descent cloud level 240, cross Debbie at level.
Okay, so while they're on the phone,
Descent level 240 level at the
and release the passengers as well. München train land, Lufthansa 4 X-ray passing level 108, climbing 190.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, München hello identified, climb to flight level 300, cross Tifta 280 above.
Climb flight level 300, cross Tifta 280 above, Lufthansa 4 X-ray. Alright, let's see, Tifta. Down here, no, we can do it, but barely just. So, /+280, let's put that in here, so that the airplane gives us a reminder, in case, and insert. Should be able to do that, no problem.
Alright, the right 04, contact Langen.
Alright, cool. So, clear and copy, please.
123 decimal 280 for Emirates 080 thank you, bye-bye.
So, clearing that, that's clear anyway, copy, and then we've got cruise 300, optional 360, but that's fine. And Berlin 06 right goes in here. Nice. Cool.
123.565, Lufthansa 4 Delta.
That just looks fantastic, doesn't it? Look at it from the outside. Incredible. Just incredible. And Onyx, why delete the restrictions instead of just selecting open climb? Mostly because I do like to prefer climb mode. Especially for cases like now. We do have a perfect example at hand. So when ATC... Let's assume that we were in open climb now. Then open climb would disregard that level 280 above restriction. Climb mode, on the other hand, would not. So that's why I kind of prefer staying in there. And Melvin, are the 10,000 checks conducted at standards or at flight level 100 or departure elevation plus 10,000? That depends a little bit. What I would recommend is if you've got an airport that's at or below 2,000 feet, so more or less at sea level, then I would go for just doing it at level 100 to keep things simple. If you've got one that's higher, then do it a little bit higher at elevation plus 10,000. So when flying into an airport like Johannesburg, which is in 5,500 feet elevation, then I would absolutely do that stuff in 15,000 feet. And Superb Elias, which mouse and keyboard am I using? I'm using a Master MX5 as my mouse, and I'm using the corresponding keyboard. I forgot the name. Let me try and search a flashlight, maybe I can tell you then. Oh god, gotta love the phone. So, that keyboard is a Master Key 5.
33565, clear to takeoff check.
Both from Logitech. Nathan, hi, nice to see you over here. Hi Emmy, how do Inibuilds, FENIX and others recreate aircraft or FMS logic? Do they get information support from the manufacturers? In the vast majority of cases they don't. Now, I don't have insights from every single developer, but in the majority of cases, even when you've got an officially licensed product, blah blah blah, that just means that the developer is paying the manufacturer money, to be able to allow to use the name of the airplane. We have seen some cases in flight simulation where the licenses would have been so incredibly expensive that the developers actually decided not to use the name of the aircraft. Think, for example, the FSR 500, which is a Piper 500 Malibu, or think the what's it called, MK2C, which is a Mirage 2000C. So there have been those cases, but in the vast majority of cases, airplane manufacturers do not give any direct input or help to flight simulation developers. In the majority of cases, those developers are using the data that you can find on the internet, plus maybe what they get from a pilot, and then a lot of input from pilots during the development. And not just pilots, but also maintenance workers and so on. And that's how most developers do these things. But then again, I can't tell you any exact company's works. So if you were to ask me specifically about indie builds and FENIX, then I would have to say I would assume that they work the way I just detailed, but I don't know for sure if they do, or if they might have some other contacts. There's always that option. And Silverdrift, do I think it's worth waiting for the FENIX A321neo or just get the A321 now? Well, I have no idea how long they might take, so I would say it's a little bit dependent on your personal budget, you know. If you say that, well, I can basically afford both, then I would absolutely say just get the A321 now. If on the other hand side that price is really a lot of money for you, then I would say perhaps wait a bit. I mean, we haven't seen too many like really in-depth previews yet, so I don't think it's immediately around the corner. My guess at this time of the year would always be that they're preparing stuff for Christmas, but again, that's a guess. I don't know that one for sure. So, yeah, I would say it really depends on that. Personally, I would just get the A321 now. But, you know, it really depends. And Echo Base, will I pick up the Synaptic and Inibuild A220 when it releases? Absolutely. And Melvin, regarding the 10,000 foot checks, is that mentioned in company SOP, or is that good airmanship? Well, a little bit of both, really, depending on the airline, of course. So my airline does have some text in there, but even if the airline doesn't, I would still definitely call it airmanship to take that into account. Imagine flying into an airport like Quito at 7,000 feet or whatever the elevation is. You definitely wouldn't want to turn on the lights, you know, at 3,000 AGL. And November 7808 Quebec. Why would pilots choose to do a rolling takeoff instead of a static one? Okay, that's quite easy. Because the rolling takeoff saves time, and well, the static takeoff just takes longer time, and normally performance analysis has shown that you don't really get any deteriorating performance.
From the 4X-ray contact mention 153 and 565.
133, 565, Lufthansa X-ray, tschüss.
Eurowings 329er, descent to flight level 210 at 2000 feet per minute upgrade.
10, 2000.
Ryanair 9 Hotel Echo, descent to flight level 200 at 2500 feet per minute upgrade.
Descent level 200, 2500 feet per minute upgrade.
Austrian 239, descend to flight level 200 at 1500 feet per minute or more.
Then flight level 200.
Speed, vertical speed.
Lufthansa 479, descend to flight level 210 at 1500 feet per minute or more.
Descending 210, 1500 feet per minute or more. Lufthansa 479.
Eurowings 329.
Man, this guy's busy.
290 or more.
I'm trying to check in, but...
Lufthansa 479, speed on conversion 290 knots.
On conversion 290, Lufthansa 479.
München, guten Abend. Lufthansa 4 X-Ray, level 298, climbing 300.
Lufthansa 4 X-Ray, München identified.
Marcus, thank you so much for the 100 Norwegian krona donation. Hi, my dream is to become a pilot crash investigation with my dad. Not the best way of introduction. Well, actually, I think it is. Because you do learn a lot about aviation in those air crash investigation videos. And I absolutely think that a lot of the general awareness and general concepts you learn over there is absolutely worth it. But yeah, you gotta work on the basics, my friend. You need that basic understanding of mathematics, physics, English.
Eurowings 82 kilo, passing 215, climbing 250.
But it's worth it. I mean, you spend a couple of months really getting to grips there, really intensively, and then you're flying for the remaining 35 years of your life, so definitely worth it. So, ATC message. Unable. Okay. Then we're not going to be using CPDLC. That's fine. However, we can use the time to grab the destination ATIS. So, AOC menu, ATIS, Echo Delta Delta Bravo, arrival, VAPSIM, send.
Lufthansa 4 when ready, descend to flight level 200 to be level at Oscar.
And Ruben, what's my favorite holiday destination? Is it Palma de Mallorca? Well, Palma is... Well, Mallorca I should say, because the city of Palma is definitely not that nice. It's okay to go there for, you know, an evening, but not much longer. Mallorca is nice, but ever since I started flying long haul and seeing all those parts of the world, I honestly gotta say, these days I'd probably rather go to Mauritius, the Dominican Republic, those kinds of destinations. Alright, so, Berlin, ATIS, hotel. Expect vectors for the ILS approach from runway 6 left or right, transition level 60, after vacating 6 left, contact ground on blah blah. We gotta remember that we have to call the grounds once we vacated. 0808, 10 kilometers, visibility, overcast 4,800, 10 degrees, and QNH 1029.
City at Tango at your assigned rate, descend to flight level 200, speed on conversion 290.
Alright, here we go.
Flight level 200, current descent rate, conversion 290.
And just looks beautiful outside, doesn't it? You guys tell me, do you want me to turn on the dome light, or shall we just keep it this dark? In the real world, I'd definitely keep it that dark now. And honestly, it's not very dark outside. Can you see the moon somewhere? Metal Eye gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much. Man, look at the atmosphere here and how bright it is. I'm kind of searching for the moon. I'm pretty sure it's full moon. Even though I know for sure that it wasn't a couple days ago. But look at how bright it is. Impressive how much you can see. Even though Sim Update 4 is of course going to do quite a difference there, especially with the area around cities like over here. And Enes, do I think FENIX will redesign the cockpit for the Neos? Well, what type of redesign would you be looking for? I think it is very good the way it is. Of course, I think they will adapt it to how the real Neo cockpit is. So, the type of changes like the backup speed scale button down here, and, you know, that kind of stuff, but...
Good evening, Albert.
And Stefano, yeah, my VATSIM hours. I did the majority of them back in the day when I worked in flight simulation and when I did my ATPL. Because during all my theory training, I would be, you know, flying A to B, long haul on daylight, learning, studying for my ATPL, and then back at night, you know, to get a couple of sectors in. So yeah, I did so many hours in that time. So many hours. And adding, I knew that question would come. What do I think about Microsoft Flight Simulator being released on PlayStation 5? I might be the only one over here, but I think it's very, very good to see MSFS expanding to PlayStation. Not only does it give a lot of new possible customers access to the simulator, and remember, those guys are not going to buy only the base sim, but they're also going to buy add-ons, supporting developers, supporting Asobo, giving them the budget to be able to develop the simulator further. Always remember, they're not just taking that money and getting rich and not doing anything with it anymore, but they are reinvesting most of the money that they own from this. And I think, therefore, it's really a good thing that MSFS is coming to PlayStation as well. Of course, it meant that the development for PC only, or PC and Xbox only, as you want to see it, might, you know, have been a little bit faster if they didn't convert it to PlayStation. On the other hand side, I'm sure that many things like the terrain engine, the flight dynamics engine, all that kind of stuff would probably not have needed much work to get compatible with PlayStation. I think the majority of stuff that needed work to get it on the PlayStation would be client-side stuff, and while there are still some bugs on the client side, there aren't like awfully many anymore. So I think the simple fact that it brings a lot of additional budget into the simulator is the thing that everybody is going to profit from in the long run, and therefore I'm a huge fan of them expanding the series onto new platforms.
Sorry, 82 kilo, is that 22.8? Correct? Free climb, ciao. Free climb, Dankeschön, 82 kilo.
Alright, so there's the top of the descent slowly coming in. Let's just do a little bit of the important stuff down here. So, over to Berlin, airport charts. Has it pinned anything? No, it hasn't. Okay. So, that's going to be the ground chart, and then let's just see. I think it's APC South that we'll need. Yep, that's APC South for sure. Alright, so, where are the stars? Where are the stars? Am I missing something?
City 2 Tango, reduce your speed to 70 knots.
270 on speed, City 270.
Auf der Seite X-Ray, descent to flight level 200.
Where are the star charts gone?
70 knots.
200 and conversion speed to 70.
That's interesting.
City 2 Tango, report your speed to Bremen on 13645.
Like, are they on here?
13645 on speed, City 270.
Okay. Look at that, they actually put the stars on the instrument approach chart. Okay. That's one way to do this.
Sorry, I meant speed to...
Alright, in any case, let's go ahead and cross-check our arrival real quick.
456, time to flight level 360. Flight level 360.
So, from AdGub, we are going to proceed towards, what's that, 593, then 592 above flight level 80. Then we continue on. 572 above level 60, maximum 220. Then 562 below flight level 70. Well, that's a little bit low for my taste here. Let's change that 60 above. Let's change that into 60 exactly at 572. Alright, this is probably going to be a little bit better in terms of the vertical profile. So then into the downwind until 567, maximum 220, then 557 turning onto the final. And that leads us towards TEPCO. So TEPCO is 3000 or above, 3-degree glide. That matches our FMS down here. And then for the missed approach, climb
Lufthansa 4X-ray, descent to flight level 200, 1,000 feet per minute or more.
Descent level 200, 1000 or more, Lufthansa 4 X-ray.
Lufthansa 424, climb to flight level
Speed
400.
descent alt level 200 blue.
Flight level 400, Lufthansa.
So descent mode will use 1000 feet a minute exactly, so we're absolutely good going this way.
KLM 14 Tango, free climb.
Mr. Blocklauser, hi, nice to see you. Yeah, no worries if you can't watch it live. There will be a couple more streams over the next few days. Alright, so missed approach, 2.7 BVI, right turn, radial 359, inbound classed off, climbing 4000, and down here 179, inbound classed off 4000, that's correct. In terms of the RATNAV, let's use classed off and BVI. Like that. Okay, for the landing, Berlin 6 riders in here. Descent 271 is good. So 1029. Let's quickly review the rest of the weather data.
Identified, climb to flight level 310.
Okay, 08088. Like this, and the temperature is 10 degrees. Like this. Beautiful. Cool. Thank you for that. And then, last but not least, the minimum 360. Alright, cool. So, let's see. How much runway do we have? How much runway do we need? We have loads of runway, we don't need much runway. Water brake below. And config 3. Alright, and config 3 is selected on the GPWS as well. Great, then 6 rides.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray direct up, group speed 270 or less.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray direct outgo 270 or less.
KLM 981, descent to flight level 240,
direct 2,
2000 feet per minute or more.
outgo direct insert,
KLM 981.
and 270 or less.
20, flight level 240, 2000 feet or more.
Here we go.
Correct.
Okay, that's easy going. Now, another company message. Let's see, they probably want to know about the delay. No delay code required. Okay. Fine, I'm not gonna complain. Alright, great. So with that I think we've inserted pretty much everything. Last thing for us to check down here is the fuel prediction, which leaves us with 41 minutes extra. Okay. Easy going. Alright, nice. So all this good stuff is done down here. Then let's start the approach briefing. And just enjoy the lovely views. So beautiful. So incredibly beautiful. And honestly, so realistic as well. At night over here, very hard to distinguish between sim and real world.
Windshield radar, Transavia 6901 with you flight well 350.
Good evening, Transavia 6901.
Okay, so let's go for the approach briefing. Minimum is rounded up 3,000 feet. At comparable for either runway 06 right or runway 06 left. We'll see about whichever one we are actually going to get. Minimum's 360, go around straight at 2.7 miles from BBI, then right turn 179 inbound, classed off, climbing 4,000, and extra fuel and time, we've got 41 minutes. The approach will be guided by the flight directors for an ILS approach, config 3 and idle reverse to vacate the runway to the left using auto brakes low. We've got nothing special, nothing non-standard, plenty of stop margin, vacate to the left and then we'll taxi to wherever ATC is going to send us. I don't have any threats for today's arrival, and that's the approach briefing completed.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray report speed to Bremen 13645. Jump.
13645, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, true.
Speed 270, Lufthansa X-ray. The next day, I'll identify descent flight level 17.
Flight level 170, Lufthansa 863.
Moin Moin, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, passing level 279, descending level 200, speed 270 or less.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, radar identified, continue descent level 170.
Descent level 170, Lufthansa 4 X-ray. Flight level 170 blue. Alright, let's quickly say bye-bye to our passengers. Die Gäste aus dem Cockpit noch einmal Ihr Kapitän. Wir werden jetzt in nach Berlin angefangen. Die verbleibende Flugzeit beträgt jetzt noch ungefähr 20 Minuten. Das Wetter in Berlin derzeit 10 Grad bei einer geschlossenen Wolkendecke. Wir bedanken uns herzlich, dass Sie heute Lufthansa geflogen sind, wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Aufenthalt, gegebenenfalls eine gute und sichere Weiterreise und würden uns freuen, Sie bald wieder an Bord eines unserer Flugzeuge begrüßen zu dürfen. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und wir wünschen Ihnen eine gute und sichere Weiterreise. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. We started our descent towards Berlin. The remaining flight time is now about 20 minutes. The weather currently 10 degrees and the sky rather cloudy today. Thank you very much for choosing Lufthansa for today's flight. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did, and we look forward to welcoming you on board of future service. Until then, we wish you safe onward travels and look forward to see you again in the future. Alright, so passengers are dealt with, everything's done up here, then let's get back into the chat. And Luca, would I say the night lighting with the lights is accurate to real life? For a very good part. There are a couple of things that still need some improvements. For example, we've got some fields that are lit up down here, but they're working on that stuff for Sim Update 2. And the rest of it, honestly, is really, really, really good. The sim really shines at that, really. I can't say that often enough. And LS asked earlier, do I have a penguin on Heathrow getting a third runway? I do, it's good. As a pilot, I'm never going to complain about expanding traffic. Really never going to complain about it. And Tornado, hi. 2-3 Lim Hotel, Treviso, Frankfurt. And Luca, is 2020 also good with the night graphics? Well, it's not as good as 2024, but it gets the job done.
Continue descent flight level 140 to Jet.
And Vasso, am I considering the Winwing Ursa minor side stick and throttle after buying the MCDU? The throttle, absolutely. The side stick, I actually gave it a try in the past. Might do so again, but I think it's about similar to the Thrustmaster Airbus stick. While the grip is a little bit more realistic, but to consider using it, nah, I'm actually looking at a different solution right now, but I'm not going to talk about that just yet, until I can actually make it happen. So that's Lufthansa 8 X-ray here, that's not responding, that's not us. And Ashton, could I do a live stream with the A350 doing an oceanic crossing? That's definitely planned for the future. That's most definitely planned. Unfortunately, they cancelled the cross the pond. I did actually request holidays for that time. And got them. And now it's cancelled. But anyway, we can definitely do an A350 live stream soon.
Lufthansa 863, descending 140.
Good Charlie Delta Bravo, flight level 210.
Good Charlie Delta Bravo, hello, descent flight level 200.
And Albi225 is wondering if it's normal that if you're at very high altitude, that the ground textures can sometimes be a little bit blurry in FS 2024. Well, it depends a bit on your settings, but yes, it seems that the sim does have that tendency to blur the ground a little bit when you're in cruise level. Now, instead of paying, say, attention, the controller could just have talked a little bit. Lufthansa 4 X-ray, speed 250 or less.
Lufthansa 8 X-ray, call arrival 126425, ciao.
Speed 250. First dial open descent.
Echo Charlie Delta Alpha Bravo, fly heading 0.
And Ivan, how realistic is the EFB from Phoenix? I'm missing quite a bit of stuff that we have on the real EFB. On the other end side though, I would say Flight Simulator EFBs in general are still way to go. Phoenix is one of the better ones.
126.425 to
16 after local mention radar 133.565 show.
13565 Alpha 6
Well, it seems rather busy over here.
And I want to Charlie Tango call mention 133.565.
133.565 runway 1 and Charlie Tango, choose.
Lufthansa for X-ray, continue descent level 140.
Lufthansa for X-ray, descent level 140. Shuttle 140 blue. And as we're back at 250 knots now, let's go back into managed descent here, speed descent. Racer Yani, hi Captain, I'm nearly starting the ATPL studies. In a month, I have the English exam. What do you recommend me? Honestly, watch as much aviation content, in English of course, as you can. That's the best thing you can do to improve your English. And also try to speak the language. Don't just watch it and read it and write it, but make sure to speak it.
200 and 260 knots, you got Charlie Delta Bravo.
And Jordan Bassist, Emmanuel, thank you for your content. I started as a sim enthusiast, now I'm flying an A320 in South America as first officer. Congratulations, Jordan. That's really nice to hear. It's always lovely to hear fellow pilots who started out in flight simming and then eventually made their way into the real world cockpits. It's always nice to hear those stories. And Tornado 126.425 Lufthansa for X-ray, true.
Number 6 Zulu, fly heading 120.
So, which ATIS did we have?
Switcher 28 for sequencing, further reduce 230 knots.
230
Come on, man, open that Atsu.
Standard 39er, turn right, heading
ATIS Hotel.
025.
Right, heading 025,
Arrival, schönen guten Abend, Lufthansa for X-ray, level 167, descending 140, speed 250 at this hotel.
Lufthansa for X-ray, Berlin arrival identified, hotel is correct, expect runway 06 right, descent flight level 100 on present heading.
06 right, descent level 100 on present heading, Lufthansa for X-ray.
City R2 Tango, descent 5000.
Vertical speed heading, flight level 100 blue.
5000 speed 1029, 022.
Lufthansa 8 X-ray, speed 220 knots, via Delta Bravo 572, cleared 06 left transition.
And Alibi 255 in the comments. I think we'll meet in Berlin. Lufthansa 1 Lima Lima. Alright, I'll listen out for you.
Via Delta Bravo 572, cleared 06 left transition, speed 220 knots.
Speed 220 knots and Delta Bravo 5.
And Mattia, could I fly Eurowings to Verona one day? Maybe.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, stop descent flight level 140.
Confirm Lufthansa 4 X-ray, stop in level 140.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, affirm stop descent flight level 140, there's traffic below.
Roger, stop in descent level 140, Lufthansa 4 X-ray.
Arrival, you got Charlie Delta Bravo, flying heading 06.
Onyx, what is my opinion on Aerosoft's planes coming since the A330 incident? I'm not expecting a lot from them, at least not if Aerosoft are doing the systems themselves. All the good guys left them, and now it's basically Flight Sim Studios managing those aircraft for Aerosoft. A330 is managed by them, and then they of course just, you know, founded that other company. Flight Sim Studios.
Turn left heading 350.
Left 350, Lufthansa 4 X-ray.
Lufthansa 39er, reduce speed 220
So, yeah, I'm not expecting much there. The exception to that is those aircraft that are done in cooperation with Tolis. Because the Tolis aircraft are really good, and Tolis knows how to do systems properly. Aerosoft doesn't. Therefore, I'm really positive that those aircraft that Aerosoft is doing in cooperation with Tolis are going to be really good. That's the A340-600 right now, and honestly, I'm pretty much expecting them to do the A330neo thereafter as well. Speed 220, Lufthansa X-ray. And speed 220.
Lufthansa 8 X-ray, direct Delta Bravo 562.
Delta Bravo 562, Lufthansa 8.
And Luca is asking, why do you use vertical speed 1,000 feet before reaching the target altitude? That's in order to avoid the TCAS generating conflicts when there is conflicting traffic. So, think for example that guy down here. He's 1,000 feet below us, so in flight level 130. Now, TCAS is going to trigger a traffic advisory, that's the traffic, when you've got 40 seconds to the predicted impact. At 20 seconds to the predicted impact, you're going to get a resolution advisory.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, descent flight level 100.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, descending level 100. So that basically means that if you've got 1,000, if you plan to level off 1,000 feet above the other traffic, but you're descending at 3,000 feet a minute, then you're still going to generate a resolution advisory. And if you're descending at 2,000 feet a minute, you're even still going to generate a traffic advisory, even though you are correctly separated by air traffic control. And for that reason, 1,000 feet to go, you use 1,000 feet a minute. And Kakashi, I had a dream, an A330 study level one day. Yeah, I feel ya. I'm kinda hoping for a Tolis A330neo in MSFS though. I'm sure if their A340 is a success, then we are going to get an A340 as well. Fairly sure about that.
Echo Alpha Bravo, descent flight level 100, speed 220 knots.
100, speed 220, go Charlie Delta Bravo.
And Carl Greg, hi Manuel, do you use a controller for your views in FS24 or something else? Do you have a recommendation how to set them up? I'm actually just using my mouse and keyboard with the default assignments. So Shift W ASD to move around and the mouse to look around, and that's all I do. And then of course Shift F5 through F8 to save the view, and Shift 1 through F4 to recall that view. And Elton, have I tried SoFly SimRate Changer Pro? It can do like X16. Honestly, I don't see a reason to give SoFly money for that. Because you can simply assign a controller to control your sim rate right within the menu, and there is a freeware tool available that can do the very same thing. So I'm not going to give SoFly money for that. Sorry.
136-105 to jet with 0.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, proceed to Delta Bravo 572, after 572 cleared 06 right transition.
Alright, 572, thereafter 06 right transition, Lufthansa 4 X-ray.
Lufthansa 39,
Okay,
turn left heading 290.
I will disregard the VNAV over here.
Left heading 290, Lufthansa 29.
So, Tornado,
642, speed 220
what about the AFL 737 MAX again? Well, I don't see many reasons to try it for the time being.
Lufthansa 39, proceed direct
We've got the
Delta
iFly
Bravo
Max.
572.
Happy with that one.
Delta Bravo 572.
And ZJ, thank you very much for dropping by and saying thank you for all the videos I made.
Descent 5,000 feet, QNH 1029.
Lufthansa flight rate is 75,000, QNH 1029. Okay, 50 blue, set QNH. QNH 1029, cross check, passing 11,000. Now, checked. So let's just make sure we can disconnect that
642 direct to Delta Bravo 572.
CPDLC down there.
Direct 572 Delta Bravo.
Connection, status,
Lufthansa
nothing
6,
active.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, contact direct 121 130, ciao ciao.
121 Lufthansa 4 X-ray, drop.
Lufthansa 39, descent flight level 80.
What is this thing doing?
Flight level 18 Lufthansa 39.
Come on, switch it over. Here we go.
Cleared ILS approach, runway 065, report established.
So, a couple clouds here, -1, and
24,000 cleared ILS 06 right, global report speed 990
and
knots.
passing 10. Light signs,
Hotel Ryzen
deface.
heading 030, descent to altitude 4,000 feet.
Turn right,
Keep it primary high accuracy, not select alarm.
Lufthansa 4.
Hotel speed 200 knots.
Speed 200 knots, Lufthansa 4.
Hard flight 6026, turn left heading 150.
Left 150.
Direktor, guten Abend, Lufthansa 4X-Ray.
Lufthansa 4X-Ray, director hello identified.
Engine LTS
Und
off.
Austrian 239er, speed 170 knots until 5 knots.
Narex, why don't I have my license in VATSIM? Because I'm absolutely not sending my real-world pilot license to any flight simulator entity. One developer asked for it in the past to believe me that I'm a pilot. I told him to F off, and yeah, I'm definitely not sending VATSIM my pilot license. I would have no clue what might happen with it. Are they going to be compliant with data security? Is my license eventually going to end up on the internet? No way I'm doing that just to impress other people by showing a pilot's rating in the sim. That ain't happening. And Elton, no, you can't do X16 in the INI A350. The only plane that can do that much is the PMDG 777. INI maxes out at 4X.
Twidget. Disregard.
And Frankfurt traffics, when do you use engine anti-ice? For takeoff, that's when the outside air temperature is 10 degrees or less and there is visible moisture. That could be rain, clouds, fog, you name it. And in the descent, you use it whenever the temperature is, sorry, whenever the temperature is below -10 degrees.
170 knots until 5 knots final, contact tower 118805.
Hi, speed 170 until 5 and power 118805.
And adding, do I know if there are any books that I would recommend to learn the A320, well, the FCOM? Google for the FCOM, that's all you need. There are a couple nice books, of course, like that A320 study guide, I forgot how it's called. But, do you need them? No. Okay, so approach checklist, please.
39er, direct identified.
So, Barrow ref, QNH 1029, seatbelts on, minimum, Barrow 360, auto brake, low and engine start selector, norm. Approach checklist complete. So let's see, there's two guys over here, one in front, and that's the 8 X-ray, just getting a right hand turn to the base. So I suppose we'll need about 10 miles until we are going to get our final turn here.
And CDR 2 Tango speed 200 knots.
Speed 200, 2 seconds.
Speed hold star. Halt.
And 2 Tango, are you taking me for 6 left or 6 right?
This looks good.
Turn right heading 100, cleared ILS 06 right.
Right heading 100, cleared all left, 6 right, severe, take up.
And Elton, you know, if those tools are able to force a sim rate acceleration that the developers of an add-on intentionally prevented the addon from calling, then that's probably a very good reason they did that. So I wouldn't actually force the sim any rate higher than, you know, what you're supposed to have. probably not going to end well.
X-ray, cleared ILS 06 left.
Cleared ILS 06 left, Lufthansa 86.
Friend 239, contact tower 120, decimal 030, Rogers.
And Vasto, 1 hour to go from Heathrow to Philadelphia with the A350. Pray that the WASM gods leave me alone. Well, I haven't had any WASM problems with the aircraft recently.
Cleared for the glide slope.
Not yet, but we can make it. Cleared IF 06 right, Lufthansa 40.
Okay, so we've got ILS Berlin Southeast. So that thing's identified. Then we're just waiting for the final turn here.
170 correct to empty, 5 miles sign off, speed dynamic cost.
280, turn right heading 330.
Right heading 330, 280.
Man, it's rather busy down here.
Turns out for hotel, speed 170 knots.
Speed 170, Lufthansa 40.
Flight 6026, descent altitude 4000 feet, cleared ILS 06 left.
And Cockpit, could I make videos about how to do the radios for beginners? I did those. I did a full WASM tutorial series. Just search for the playlist and then you'll find it.
Echo Charlie Delta Alpha Bravo, arrival identified.
Now Ben, how do you report your position to ATC? That depends on the situation. Like right now, if they ask me for the position, then I would tell them, okay, I'm on the radial 27725 miles from Kilo Lima Foxtrot. If they ask me the same question over the Atlantic, then I'm going to tell them Lufthansa for X-ray, position Delta Bravo 562 at 1842 UTC, flight level 70, expect, or estimating Delta Bravo 567 at 1846. And Delta Bravo 557 next. Lufthansa for X-ray, present heading. Heading.
Speedbird 9996 Golf, contact tower 118805.
11885,
So I guess this guy is just turning final, this guy is going to come behind him and then we'll be next. So this is probably 5 miles, and we gotta fly 10 miles, so probably just slightly beyond Delta Bravo 567. That's my expectation here.
Turn left heading 020 now.
But let's see what it's actually going to be. And Koki, what joystick and throttle do I have? You can find that in the description of the stream. It's a Thrustmaster Airbus stick and the Honeycomb Bravo throttle.
280, sorry, turn left, correction.
And Onyx, you never understood the WASM thing because personally never had any crashes or freezes with it. Yeah, there were a couple problems, especially with the initial release version. But ever since...
Turn right, heading 040.
Right, 040, Lufthansa for X-ray.
2 Lima Charlie, turn left, heading 040.
Left 040, Lufthansa 2 Lima Charlie.
That is quite the turn. Here we go, heading 040.
Hotel, should we switch over to tower?
Hotel, call Billet Tower 119805, please.
And Fred 738, am I planning to try the wind ring gear? You mean the new throttle? Most definitely. The landing gear lever? I'm not sure yet.
Turn left, heading 040, kids. Localizer, runway 06 right.
And Frankfurt traffics, no, the Honeycomb Bravo does not have detents.
6026, call tower, correction speed 160 knots until 4 dmi.
And Cockpit, yes, exactly, that's the Learning WASM playlist.
Call tower 120030.
Alright, so let's quickly clean up our flight plan. So, top go with radial in and insert.
Right 090 and you haven't cleared me for the localizer.
Yeah, then on heading 090 you're cleared now for the localizer runway 06 left.
So, what is that coming behind us?
Turn right heading 150.
2.5 miles. That is tight.
Echo Charlie Delta Alpha Bravo, turn
That's
right,
pretty tight back there. I mean, 2.5 is the minimum, but you get the idea.
CDS to Tango speed 160 knots to 40.
So, we're not cleared for the approach just yet.
Right, by speed 160 knots to 40 me.
Taxi 1601 for DME here,
So 4 X-ray on heading 050, cleared local on the runway 06 right.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray heading 050, cleared localizer 06 right.
Lufthansa 45, confirm heading 040.
Present heading, cleared localizer, runway 06 left.
Present heading, cleared localizer 06 left, Lufthansa to Lima Charlie.
Enough blue.
Lufthansa 4X ready to altitude 4,000 feet.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray descend 4,000 feet.
Lufthansa 8X recall tower 119.
First start, Lufthansa descend out 4,000 blue.
203, 320.
I'll tell you what, let's do vertical speed here. Speed vertical speed.
Direct update, Lufthansa 642 approaching 5,000 feet.
Lufthansa 642 hello, you can identify.
Director
EV526 to director hello, you identified.
Yeah, and Luca, the usage of cockpit lights
Lufthansa 39
depends on the company, but in mine we do want them off for landing and takeoff. The only ones you can leave on are the floodlights down here. Now, we're not receiving the localizer yet because we are too far out. In the real world that works without any problems. The sim unfortunately limits the ILS reception to 25 miles. That's a bug.
100 to 220.
You should be able to receive the ILS much further out, but so be it.
EV526 to
Once we're within 25 miles, we'll be able to receive the ILS. So, I'll start. For this reason, I've just extended the center line, using the radial indirect function, and then I'm using nav mode to track the center line now. That makes our life a lot easier. In Elton, that's a sim problem, not a Phoenix problem. Alright, so we're receiving the DME now. Should receive that like 100 miles out, but we're receiving it now. Now we're just waiting for the localizer and the glide slope signals to come in.
First, EV5262, turn left heading 090.
Left 090.
So 165, are you there?
And Luca, yeah, the floodlights are definitely personal preference. Hi Charlie, nice to see you.
Echo Charlie Delta Alpha Bravo, turn right heading 040.
Okay, so we're in 06 right. Let's just quickly grab the latest ATIS. So, Atsu, AOC menu, ATIS, EDDB.
Contact you when ready to get to it.
EV5262, turn left heading 090.
That's because they do have some frequencies on there that you need to contact yourself without any handoff after landing. So we should have those. So, after vacating runway 06 right, contact ground 121.705.
16225,
speed 200.
Speed 200, Lufthansa 4 X-ray.
That's one. Speed 200.
Speed check.
39er, turn right heading 080, clear approach 06 right.
Okay, so we cleared localizer only, not cleared for the glide slope. Lock blue. Now let's see, localizer capture. Good.
200, I could tell you, that's another.
Lufthansa 165, turn left heading 170.
Left and 170,
Lufthansa 39er, to altitude 4,000 feet.
And Ivan, do you need extra training for each airport you land on? No, only for so-called Category C airports, like Madeira, Split, those airports.
Lufthansa 4X-ray, cleared approach 06 right.
Cleared ILS 06 right, Lufthansa 4 X-ray.
Lufthansa 2 Lima Charlie, cleared approach 06 left.
Cat3 dual, autopilot 1 and 2, glide slope blue.
2 jet 280, yeah, you are actually a little bit left to the localizer, turn right heading 080 for intercept.
Glide slope alive.
Right heading 080 for intercept to jet 280.
EV526.
They're keeping us extremely fast over here. That's going to be interesting.
Lufthansa 165, turn left heading 080.
Left heading 080, Lufthansa 165.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, we need to reduce speed now.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, speed 160, not so great until 4 DME.
160 great until 4, Lufthansa 4 X-ray. Good.
DCS 642, turn right heading 33, correction, turn right heading 330.
So, speed 160.
Turn right heading 320.
Approach phase is active.
Echo Charlie Delta Alpha Bravo, turn right heading 100.
Speed checked.
Right heading 100, Echo Charlie Delta Bravo.
EV5262, cleared Alpha approach 06 right.
Cleared island 06 right approach.
Alright,
Lufthansa 165, Kate, also approach 06
Looking good so far.
Kate for Yaris 06 left, Lufthansa 165.
Let's get 296,
And she's slowing down better than I thought. Let's do 170 then.
Turn now immediately right heading 300.
Fly stop star. And go around altitude 4000 feet.
Support Charlie Kilo Tower 120030.
120030, unfortunately.
Speed 160 until 40 me.
Speed 160 until 4, Lufthansa.
So, towers pre-selected.
4 X-ray call Tower 118805, happy then.
118805, Lufthansa for X-ray job.
Director, hello, November 2 and 12.
November 2 for 1 Alpha Kilo, hello. Maintain 5000 feet. Delta Alpha Bravo, descend to altitude 4000 feet immediately now.
1000 feet, go to the Delta Bravo.
So, if the thing would be so kind to switch, I'm pressing the button. Here we go.
Lufthansa 4, Charlie Kilo, Berlin Tower, low 170 degrees, 6 knots, runway 06 left, clear to land.
6 left, clear to land, Lufthansa 4, Charlie Kilo.
Contact 309, Skogmo Charlie, please. Skogmo Charlie, contact 309.
Tower runway out, Lufthansa 4 X-ray 06 right.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, Berlin Tower, hello.
Okay, good. So, ground is going to be 121.705. Let's pre-select him.
5770 degrees, 6 knots, runway 06 right, clear to land.
465 Alpha and 945.
Very good, Lufthansa 2 Lima Charlie, ILS 6 left.
Alright, excellent. So with that we've done everything we needed down here, then let's have a little bit of fun. Check. Alright, all manual. Cat 1.
Behind company, Airbus A320, line up runway 06 left behind.
And Dennis, yes, I'm using the Aerosoft scenery for Berlin. The Mega Airport Berlin. Right, get out.
Bravo, Kilo, Berlin Tower, Berlin 100 behind, arriving Alpine A320, line up runway 06.
So you wanted us to maintain the speed until 40 ME, but we've still got to configure it already. Flaps 3. Speed check, flap 3. You've always got to be a little careful when you are flying in config 3 and you get speed restrictions like the one we have right now, because it will be pretty hard to slow the airplane down once we are passing 40. Alright, landing checklist. Econ memo, landing no blue, landing checklist complete. We're approaching 4 miles, 4.5 is just about fine as well. Manage speed. Let's get that speed down, make sure we make the 1000 foot gate.
Lufthansa 4 Charlie Kilo Tower.
And as you can see, no problem. You just gotta make sure that you configure the airplane early enough, then you can easily make the speed restriction. 1000. And look at how lovely the lights are looking down there to the left. That's just fantastic.
Berlin 100, West 070 degrees, 6 knots, runway 06 right, cleared for takeoff.
So, 0706.
Oh, schönen guten Abend.
Approaching 06 right.
Checked. We're not clear to land yet, are we?
Tower with mount, hearing source by 5, ready for departure.
I think I see someone rolling over there.
Going forth,
just at the end of the touchdown zone.
Hello, behind the arriving Lufthansa A320, line up runway 06 right behind. Roger, we will line up on 06 right behind the arriving Lufthansa A320, hearing source. Lufthansa 4 X-ray, wind 070 degrees, 6 knots, preceding traffic, Boeing 737, airborne. Runway 06 right, clear to land.
Minimum. 06 right, clear to land, Lufthansa 4 X-ray. Okay, that was a little bit more information than we needed, but anyway, we're clear to land. That's all that counts.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard. 5.
Kissed the ground. So, spoilers, and for some reason, here are my reversers. Good. And decel. For some reason we get reverse only in number 1, then let's just go back to idle. And manual brakes. And we gotta write that one down. Alright, so let's call ground.
Taxi Alpha, hold short Mike 2.
And this is what we need a pilot monitoring for.
I'm sorry.
Ground 1 Lufthansa for X-ray, vacating 6 left. Right.
X-ray ground side, hold short of Alpha.
Short Alpha, Lufthansa for X-ray.
Lufthansa 426, number 1.
Number 1, Lufthansa 426.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray behind company 350, crossing right to left, taxi Alpha, short Victor 1.
Got the 350, right left, taxi Alpha, short Victor 1, Lufthansa 4 X-ray.
Lufthansa 47 X-ray, contact tower 118-805.
118.
Okay, so that's the 350 right in front of us over there. Alright, so clear for traffic. So, after landing checklist, radar and predictive wind shear off, after landing checklist complete. So, taxi Alpha, hold short Victor 1.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, contact apron 121-855, ciao.
11855, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, ciao.
Ground go now, Lufthansa Lima Charlie, vacated, Lima 5.
Wunderschönen Flugplatz, hier, tschüss.
121-705, you're 6 Echo, vielen lieben Dank, tschüss.
Apron good land, Lufthansa 4 X-ray, Alpha, short Victor 1.
Lufthansa 4 X-ray, Berlin apron, hello, taxi to St. Bravo 15 fire, Victor 2.
Bravo 15 fire, Victor 2, Lufthansa 4 X-ray. Now it would be nice if we had a proper moving map here, but that's Victor 1. So Victor 2 will be next.
823, give way to the Lufthansa Airbus
side.
A320, parting left to right. Thereafter taxi via Victor 1, hold short of Bravo.
Leeway to the A320 left to right, and thereafter taxi via Victor 1, hold short of Bravo, IGN 823.
Okay, so left over here. Bravo 15 is down here, 4th gate.
Straight back, facing south.
Okay, shut down engine 2.
With a 1616 pushback approved, facing south. Pushback approved, face south.
Now we're looking for Bravo 15, let's find that. All right. So the right side is all clear. I think I guess it's either this one or the next one. Judging by the availability of ground crew, I guess it's this one over here. No, Bravo 15 is this one over here. Okay. So lights off. We'll keep the APU off, we are going to use ground power. And yeah, I'm not going to go onto the Alpha line because of the aircraft to the right. Stay on the center line over here.
Lufthansa 2 Lima Charlie, Berlin apron, hello, taxi to St. Bravo 02 via Victor 4 Victor Charlie.
That was interesting marshalling over there. But anyway, here we are.
Correction, Bravo 02 via Victor
So, parking
4
brake is
Charlie.
set. Now let's connect the ground power, saves a little bit of money. So, GPU in phase.
04, ready for push and start.
And here we go. External power is on.
Approved, facing south
Shut
on
down.
Victor 1, please.
Kanchu, all doesn't park.
Back onto Victor 1.
Alright, and with that, welcome to Berlin. That was flight number 1 out of 2. Okay, so number 1 is also coming down. Bacon is coming off. Now they should be disarming the slides, and indeed they are. Wonderful. So, slides are disarmed, seatbelts off. Here we go. Parking checklist, please. Parking brake out chocks. That's parking brake set. Engines off. Wing light off. Fuel pumps off. Parking checklist complete. So with that, welcome to Berlin, my friends. That was flight number 1. Now let's get it back for flight number 2. Just to be sure down here, yes, deboarding please. Chocks are in place. So with that, the parking brake can be released down here. Now let's do our post-flight items. Transponder 2000 and standby. Fuel usage has been pretty even, 2.5 tons, that's what we'd calculated as well. And 3.3 remaining is absolutely fine. And down here we go to data and position monitor. IRSs ran absolutely fine. Perfect, so that's sector number 1 completed. And then let's go ahead and start with sector number 2. And for that, while our deboarding is currently in progress and the jetway is unable to attach, wherever that might be, we can go ahead and just take a seat somewhere back down here and start picking up our return flight. So let me actually show you the whole story of how I am planning these kind of things. And my apologies for that. Alright, so Elton, yes, we are actually flying back to Munich now. So, mind your eyes, it's getting a little bit bright. Here we go. So, Flight Radar 24, you can see this is how I got the call sign for the flight going to Berlin. Now let's find the call sign for a flight going back to Munich. So, today it was this particular A321 which flew the flight. Delta Alpha India Echo Juliet. So let's click on that particular aircraft. Let me go back down, and in here we've got today the return flight, Lufthansa 1935. So let's hit play, and we can see that's the call sign, Lufthansa 2 Charlie November. So what I'm going to do is to log off from VATSIM and log on again as 2 Charlie November to see if the call sign is actually available. And it is. So now I know that we can actually use this data to plan our return flight. So let's go ahead and do just that. So over to SimBrief, then we can do new flight. And we know it's going to be Lufthansa 1935 from Berlin to Munich on an A320, and that's going to be a FENIX with chocolates, please. Our registration today is the Delta Alpha India Uniform Alpha. So let's go down here, Delta Alpha India Uniform Alpha. Our call sign Lufthansa 2 Charlie November, and the cost index will be using 15. Now next up, estimated off-block time. Normally, in the real world, I would absolutely go over here and use the real world data, but for flight simming purposes, obviously, we'll be using something a little bit different. So it's 06 right now, so let's go off-block at 30. I think that should be absolutely fine. So 30, apply that. Now, let's go a little bit further down. Next up, we're going to decide on our passengers and our gross weight. So we're carrying 160 passengers, which is pretty much full load. Runway 06 right is okay. Scheduled block time though, let's see what the real world one annually, and we'll be using 58,645 today, which will give us about 1,500 kilos cargo or something the likes. Alright, cool. Now with that stuff done, let's go down to the alternate airports, because we're definitely not going to use Prague. I think Nuremberg is just fine, they don't have a curfew as far as I remember. Then we also got Stuttgart that I'm going to enter. We have Salzburg, which is nearby, and the last one is going to be Frankfurt, which is for information only anyway. We don't need anything down here, and that's it. Alright, beautiful. So that's our flight plan pretty much completed. Let's hit generate and see what we're gonna get and how good that is actually gonna be. And intercept localizer, yeah, you name it. I'm definitely not using a Simri for the first time here. In the meantime though, my V-pilot just told me that it's detected a lockup in the flight sim, and thus thrown me off the VATSIM network. It seems like the sim has frozen in the background. Oh, how I hate this. Did 3 long hauls today. All 3 worked absolutely fine. And now my simulator has frozen. Don't tell me we need to restart it. Because that would be annoying. Well, I'm going to give it a little time. Perhaps it's going to recover, perhaps not. Not much we can do about it right now. Yeah, all that we can actually do is to make sure that our...
Runway awareness, okay.
Oh, now the sim works again.
Meters.
So let's connect back to VATSIM so that nobody gets our gate. Frame rate is just really bad right now. Let's see, maybe it's going to recover. Or let's say maybe it's going to recover properly. I really have no idea what it's doing right now. Strange stuff. Okay, in any case, we do have a flight plan, so let's go ahead and use that one for our flight. So, in the background, I'm just going to pre-file that thing. And when that's done, we can keep working on our turnaround again. So I think we should be fine just now. Alright, cool. So, here we are. Yeah, sim is stuttering a little bit, but let's hope that that's going to fix itself. So let's see, still deboarding, that's fine, so that stuff is ongoing. In the meantime, let's go ahead and start working a little bit down here to prepare the airplane for the turnaround. So, Elton asking, why didn't you use an A321 if the real one was an A321neo? That is actually quite an easy explanation. I didn't know which flight I want to do at the time when I planned the live stream, so I just said A320 because, you know, that's the one that you can do most stuff with, and announcing a live stream on a 320 and then doing it on a 321 would have been, you know, I'm sure some of you might have said something. And look at that. I have a feeling I know why the sim locked up. The deboarding stopped. There has not been any unloading yet, and GSX has just vanished. Do you know which add-on I'm blaming that earlier lag for? I guess you can probably figure. Alright, so reset all. Add 3,000 kilos in the tanks. So that's roughly fine anyway. Alright, let's see. Nope, still can't import. Same problem that we had earlier. I'm not gonna bother with it. We'll be using the online flight plan once again. That way it's gonna be easy going, so we'll just be using the PDF one more time. Alright, so let's go ahead and have a very quick look into our plan. So this is what we just generated. The weather obviously is not going to be much different than what we've had earlier. Arriving into Munich, from 0100 onwards they get fog. Well, by that time I hope to be sleeping for a couple hours already. So we're expecting good weather conditions over in Munich, and our first alternate Nuremberg has the very same thing. In the morning they're getting fog up there, but the evening is completely fine. So, on-time departure means on-time arrival. The weights are all good. Flight level 280, pretty low, but okay. If that's what they plan, that's what they plan. Alright, apart from that, going down into the fuel section, 4.5 tons. But Simreef doesn't plan the transition to Munich, so we are going to carry a little bit more for that. Let's just round it up to 5,000 kilos of fuel, then we should be absolutely fine. Alright, so let's go over here. Plan 160 passengers, 1,000 kilos cargo, and then fuel 5,000. Like that. Alright, apply load. Do I want to try GSX again? We'll try. If it freezes again, then so be it. And Charlie, try the first officer EFB. Actually, we can do that. We can give that a go. But I don't think it's going to be much different. No, see? Same problem. And now let's not get too close to her, otherwise I'm sure we're going to get a report for sexual harassment. So let's keep our distance as good as we can. Alright, so, that was the basic stuff. Then I suppose let's get it into it again. So, ATC menu, add to, AOC menu, received messages. Can also clear those taxi instructions. Arrival message, on block at 02 and load sheet, preliminary 57.9, takeoff fuel 4.8. That's pretty good, easy going. Alright, accept that. 160 passengers again. And flight init request is ongoing. Alright, so here's our flight. Lufthansa 2 Charlie November, Berlin, Munich, and alternate in Nuremberg. So, init request, and while we're waiting for all of that stuff to arrive, let's quickly do the cockpit preparation procedure. So, flight recorder comes on, GPWS landing flap goes off, and let's quickly do a realignment as well. So, 1, 2, 3, here we go. So, still refueling, that means we're gonna leave those pumps off. Up here, everything's set. QNH, surprise, is unchanged. The date is unchanged as well, who would have thought that? And let's go ahead and grab the latest ATIS. So, ATIS, Echo Delta Delta Bravo, departure, sent. And let's wait for that to arrive. Here it is. So, still runway 6, what a surprise. 0706, clear skies, 9 degrees, 1029. Trent Nozick. Alright, easy going. We'll leave the frequencies unchanged, radio is set, weather radar is set. In the middle everything's set, over here everything's set. Transponder goes back into above. Well, and then let's continue on our FMS. So, let's just get over here to make it a little bit easier to view for you guys. Alright, so D Lufthansa 2 Charlie November, cost index 15, flight level 280, departing runway 6 right. We have a Luros departure today, so I guess it's gonna be the Luros to Quebec. Insert and into Munich, we'll have runway 8 left. Let's see where we're coming from. Landu. Alright, so let's take the Landu 08 transition. Here we go. And insert. Okay, good. So, for the emergencies, we'll have the Berlin X2 point. That's EDDB 06 right. Runway heading, let's see what that's gonna be. 064. And 25 miles, store, and then SAC flight plan, copy active, Berlin X2. Okay, insert, holding at 064, right hand turns, that looks good, and new destination back to Berlin. Arrival 6 right, looks good. Alright, fix info, Berlin 06 right, with the 064